Hello there everyone, it's me again Timmy64 here, back with another gaming review. Today I actually want to focus on a PC racing game, which generally I have done about in the past, a bunch of about racing games on consoles, but today we're going to do now PC games. Today's game I want to be looking at is the 1999 racing game called Midtown Madness. Now, this is probably one of the most fascinating games I have seen. Now, of course, this game is actually responsible for a lot of things of video games we have nowadays. But first, I want to go into Midtown Madness's history. This game was first developed by Angel Studios in 1999 and was published by Microsoft. Yes, Microsoft, the actual people of the Xbox. Now, if you know Angel Studios, they are sorry about that. Now, basically, Angel Studios is now known as Rockstar Game Studios. I will go into a little bit of that later, but yeah. So, this was actually one of the first games that actually used the Rage engine. Sorry for the bad performance here, I'm running this on win later actually. Performance is very, questionable for the least of it, but either way, yeah. So yeah, I want to go into Meta Madness. This is one of the most fascinating games I've seen actually. Yeah. So basically, after that, Rockstar was genuinely impressed on what Angel Studios did. Eventually, I think like in 2000 or 2001, they eventually bought Angel Studios. Microsoft did technically own the name Midtown Madness and the entire franchise. Sadly, they didn't have a studio to develop the third game, so DICE Entertainment came and developed Midtown Madness 3, which is an exclusive for the OG Xbox, which is generally a bit frustrating either way. So, anyways, that was about history about Midtown Madness. Next, as we go into the gameplay, is Midtown Madness actually good 27 years later? Let's find out. So, first is the gameplay. The game consists of a bunch of modes like blitz races, which these are like checkpoint timer races where you need to basically go through like point A to B before the timer runs out. Checkpoint races, which if you do know these, they're sort of like ordered races from the Midnight Club franchise. Actually, the ordered races from Midnight Club 3 were generally, and the other Midnight Club games, their races were actually inspired by the ones here in Midtown Madness, because of course almost the entire core gameplay is almost just as similar as Midnight Club, because Midnight Club just took a lot of the inspiration from Midtown Madness. But either way, so basically, the checkpoint races are a bit different. Now, unlike most racing games which have borders around like a Pacific track, forcing you to go one way around, Midtown Madness it completely ignores this. It's basically you trying to also find the fastest way to get to the basically area, but you must not miss checkpoints because those are important. So yeah, next is also the circuit races. The circuit races just generally work, like basic ones. Of course, they are boarded up as you can see here. So generally there isn't a lot I could possibly say for them. And yeah. Also, the cruise mode is where it gets generally interesting. Cruise mode is basically you take any of the cars that you've unlocked. You can also use this for testing. You can take a car and you can just simply drive it around the city. Trying to run over pedestrians, which they actually dodge you. Try and hit traffic cars or have fun with the police. Or if there's a bridge, you can use it as a ramp. Of course, the game it doesn't actually really have a story. There isn't much of a story here in Midtown Madness 1 and 2. However, Midtown Madness 3 of course included the undercover mode story. But either way, I don't know if I'm actually gonna do Midtown Madness 3 because currently X1 box emulator is still in an extremely early development stage, and sadly I don't think I'm gonna ever include Midtown Madness 3. Midtown Madness 2 I don't think because generally that game runs like absolute dog trash on there, so on win later. So either way, but Midtown Madness here doesn't have a story actually. The game just takes place in Chicago, like Washington D.C., Chicago. Nothing really much here to be honest actually. So yeah, the game doesn't actually have a story, so you just get to have a lot of fun here. The vehicles this game have are of course official licensed vehicles. You have the VW Beetle, Ford F-150 pickup bakkie, which here in South Africa we call it a bakkie, not a pickup truck. So yeah, of course a Cadillac, Ford Mustang's 1965 version. Heck, there's even a city bus and a Freightliner in this game. Yeah, truck actually you can drive in this game. So yeah, Midtown Madness here offers a very interesting variety of cars. Now next is the graphics. The graphics of the game doesn't look too bad. I mean it reminds me more of a PS1 game or something like that. But either way, yeah, the game doesn't look too bad I would say for I'm able to say a Windows 98 game, so it's not too bad. The handling of the cars are very arcade-ish, to be honest, they are arcadey. First off, number one, you cannot actually quite drift. You can't quite drift here in Midtown Madness, to be honest. So yeah, there isn't actually quite of a good drift. The physics are very fliggy-ish, if like flingy. I don't know. I'm gonna describe it like they fling you sometimes. Not. I don't know. But yeah, the physics are just there. I mean, there's not much I would possibly say this is the worst physics, I would say. It's not the worst physics I've seen. I mean, I've seen far worse games with the most bad handling of their vehicles. But yeah, I understand, of course, Midtown Madness is technically a arcade game, so I wouldn't really have to judge it at the end of the day. I mean, this was an arcade game at the end of the day. Now, yeah, so next is also the final one is basically also the controls. The controls are of course very much of an old Windows 98 games. You use the arrow keys in order to brake and accelerate, basically up arrow key for accelerate and beep and like the like the down arrow key for brake. You can use left and right to steer the vehicle, and the other keys like on the keyboard like A, B, and C or whatever can be used for other configuration. Enter can be used for your horn, and escape can actually be used. The like that button can also be used to pause the game. So yeah, the another thing is on like how would I recommend playing this game in 2026. Now, I'm gonna put it this way. I wouldn't say it's bad. Like this is technically a forgotten game. So yeah, this is like a hidden gem, and this is pretty much the reason why we have GTA 5 and Midnight Club 3 and other franchises. Because without Midtown Madness, we would have never actually got to saw these type of franchises. To be honest, of course. So yeah. Now, Midtown Madness here, I'd probably give it a. I'm actually doing. I'd probably give it like a 4 stars. I mean, it's actually fun because the I'm gonna put it this way. The cruise mode is generally fun, as you can see over here. I'm just running over pedestrians, which is a bit fun to be, which is a bit fun to be honest. So yeah. The game runs at mostly 30 frames, but of course I'm using Winlater. Winlater has the sort of thing for actually kind of making the game run terrible whenever you're recording. So yeah, however, I've also did actually see that there are some people who use 60 FPS patches. So yeah, for availability of this game, I wouldn't really think it's probably best to get this game. Of course, because this game is genuinely 27 years old, it's very clunky to run nowadays on a modern Windows 11 environment. However, you can technically use a lot of like I'm able to like emulators. I guess. I mean that's your best alternative for the most part. But either way, yeah. So that's it for Metal Madness. What do you guys think of this game? Of course, little me over here is just reviewing since I'm a child who's reviewing a game from 27 years ago. But either way, if you guys enjoyed this video on me basically doing a review on Midtown Madness, please consider on liking, subscribing, and yeah, thank you very much for watching this video, and bye bye.